Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me once again for another of our stay at home interviews. It's been fun kind of getting a chance to talk to several people from the toy industry during this very strange time that we're living in. And we've got our first return guest. So, once again, I would like to welcome Brian Flynn from Super7. How's it going, Brian?
Howdy, Pixel Dan. Hey, P. Danny. How you doing? Actually, you're not P. Danny anymore. Now you're P. Daddy.
P. Daddy. There you go. That is true. That is true.
It's almost like Puff Daddy, but not quite. It's a different kind.
I like it. We just keep changing the name, like the evolution of the name there. That's good.
But, I mean, how many weeks old is the newborn now?
So he is 2 weeks old, actually, as of today. So 2 weeks.
2 weeks as of today. So he's already watched season 1 and 2 of the new She-Ra, and you're still waiting on season 4.
That's right. Yep. We're already getting them acclimated to the world of geek culture and making sure he knows all the cool stuff. So, yeah.
Very cool. Well, congratulations once again. That's pretty awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's been fun. It's been crazy. We were kind of talking about, last time with the quarantine and everything. It's easy to get lost in time and you don't know what day of the week it is. That gets amplified when you have a newborn in the house, because I have no idea like what time it is at any time of the day. It's crazy.
No. And for the thing is that there's half the audience that's watching this that has kids that are like, oh man, I remember, and that's great, and it's a lot of work, and they're very sympathetic. And the other half of this audience is like, why are we talking about this? This is not what I tuned in for.
Yeah, you're totally right. Okay, we'll get off the kids stuff. We'll get to what everybody really cares about, because this time around, I reached out to all the viewers and I asked them to post any questions that they had for you. So we collected a ton of questions. We had over 200 responses, which was really cool. So thank you guys very much for taking the time to post your questions. And I'm really glad to hear you've enjoyed these interviews videos. One thing to note, I can't ask every single question that was asked. Also, I think it's worth noting that most of your questions were either very similar to one another, or you were asking about various licenses that you want to see Super7 do. So we're going to do our best to just kind of cover as much as we possibly can with everything that was asked.
All right. This is like the $10,000 pyramid, isn't it? We're going to go question to question until we get to like the question.
That's true. I mean, we could do it that way. How do you think we should start though? Should we like build up to the big thing we're going to show off, or should we start with that?
We can start with that if you want. I mean, that's the only reason people are watching this anyways. They don't want to talk to me. They want to hear about Snake Mountain.
Okay, well, let's jump in and take a look at Snake Mountain then. So you've got one on.
First, though, we have to, all the conspiracy theorists out there in the world. Let's see here. It closes. It closes.
Hey, look at that. Oh my God, look how tall that is.
I can't see exactly. Hold on. I have to do that. Okay, I'm having to turn this camera on this way so I can actually see what you're seeing. Otherwise, I have no idea what's going on. So let's see here. I'm going to put it this way, and I'm going to come around. I'm going to do my best Vanna White. Hey,
there we
everybody.
Go.
Vanna White.
Oh my gosh, look how tall that thing is.
It's gigantic, and I was messing with it. I hadn't set it back up since we last messed with it, so all the parts are laying around here. So I'll do this and move this stuff out of the way, and then we can do. There we go.
Wow.
So there is the snake and the mountain. And then one of the things we talked about, I just moved it. This is sort of a fun fact. This bridge acts as your locking mechanism.
Oh, that's really cool.
When you put this in here, you slide it across the chasm. Now, Snake Mountain does not fold back up. So that acts as your lock to the grand world of Snake Mountain.
That is impressive, man. Looking at you standing next to that, it just blows me away every time I see it, just how big that thing is.
Hold on. Yeah. I have to get on my tiptoes to do that. It's gigantic. It's stupid. It's amazing. It's it keeps second to the USS Flag. I think this is the biggest play set. I think we'll have to have it in Jabba's sail barge have a death match to find out for sure. But yes, it's big.
Do you have the dimensions on it, the exact dimensions? I know a lot of people were asking about that.
I knew that you were going to ask that. So what I have here is a very ancient device called a tape measure. So let's see here. I'm going to go from the corner over here to corner, 42 inches. So wow. 3'6", corner to corner. And let's see here. We'll go top to bottom here to the spike. You're about 38 inches.
Amazing. How about the depth? What's the depth on it?
What's the deepest part? The deepest part here. Well, and then how far back? The depth looks like it's more or less about 17 inches.
Amazing. Well, that's awesome. And I know a lot of people are like trying to plan for where they're going to put that thing. So I think that's why so many people have been wanting to know the dimensions. But oh my gosh, the thing's amazing. It's huge.
It's huge. And I don't know if it's going to show. Let me see here. I'm going to turn this thing around.
Awesome. We can get a chance to look at the inside.
But it's pretty cool, like the lava water flow because of the translucent. You can see it better here. You can see my fingers crossing it there. But you get that glow lava through the back of it.
Oh, wow. So
that's pretty cool. And I guess I should leave it like this for the moment. I've got all the other stuff that I haven't put back into it. So we have our not microphone that also does your accessory holder.
Oh, cool. So it's got like an opening door on it so you can like put things inside.
Yeah, so in case instead of putting in your AA batteries, you put in this and then it's got a peg so that it rests in here. But when this thing closes because of this, you can't close it with this inside it. You have to take this out to make it close.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, it won't close. I took all the parts off the other day. So somebody once had also asked if this comes off, and yes, it does. It sits right there. You've got Skeletor's bone throne up here. Table. You can place the table anywhere you'd like. And then, obviously, this is not a sticker. And this lives down here. Let's see, what are some other fun things? We got the ladder here. You put the ladder anywhere you like. The instruction sheets. No one's seen these, I don't think, yet. Best part about the instruction sheets is that Orko tells you how to do everything.
Oh, cool.
So Orko tells you how to pull it together. Let's see where everything goes. Assembling the monumental Snake Mountain is only half the magic.
That is so fun. That is cool.
So yeah, and then let's see. Trapdoor works. Hold on. Let me. Good. I'm on the wrong side for the switch, but there's the switch for it. I'm on the wrong side though. And then trapdoor them into the net. And there's it helps if I'm on the other side where the lever is. I'm not going to do it that way. Okay. But all the faces, you can put the faces wherever you want. So if you don't like that order, you can move them around.
Oh, that's cool.
So all the faces can be moved around and put wherever you like.
Do you have any figures laying around that we can see standing on it so we can see how big they look on there? He's going to get some. Oh, there we go. Ah!
Hordak was not meant to visit Snake Mountain. Yeah, so if we're opening the wolf gate there, there's Hordak hanging out up top.
Oh, that is cool.
Or he can steal the bone throne. Here, hold on. Well, I'm not that tall. I gotta go around.
Look at that. Hordak on the bone throne.
Hordak's on the bone throne, and then if you're on the other side, you've also got the chains here where you can chain them up. This is where He-Man gets chained up.
That's so amazing. I just keep thinking about like the vintage playset and how it was so small in comparison to the figures, and there was barely enough room for the figures to actually stand on the ledges. And now I'm looking at Hordak on this ledge and seeing all the space. It's amazing.
Yeah. This thing's stupid big. Let's see, what else? The mouth. We kept the mouth action for you, because that was very important key laughing feature there.
Of course.
It's a little gonzo. It's a little gonzo. I'm not going to lie.
It does kind of look like Gonzo.
Yeah, that's the beast. Snake Mountain.
It's amazing, man. It's just, it's unbelievable to me that like we're still getting this, that this is a real thing. You guys have done some amazing work on this, and the fact that you're making this a reality for us is pretty awesome. So you guys have really nailed it, and I'm excited to get it in hand and really play around with it. But it really does feel like just the perfect cherry on top to the Masters Classics collection. So I know me and so many others are so grateful that we're actually getting this thing.
Well, that's very nice. Thank you. Let me switch my view here. There we go. Now I can actually see you again. I can only see my camera for a moment. I mean, it's a lot of things. It's a little bittersweet, but at the same time, it's not just for you guys. It's as much for us as anybody. It's like, we wanted it too. So I don't know. It's preposterous, but it's also awesome. So there's no reason why it shouldn't exist. And it's a lot, it's the same thing. It's a lot of work, but so what? It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's it's pretty well done at this point. We're starting production on it. And in the next 30 to 45 days, the first batches should be coming off. And then after that, you get into the, it's going to be a 3-month process to get them all made. And they'll be coming out 1/3 at a time over 3 months. Did we talk about that last time?
We talked about it a little bit, but we did have some questions asking for an update on delivery. So
yeah, I mean, we started production on it somewhere between 30 and 45 days from now. The first batch of 1/3 of the total quantity should be ready. And at that point, then we'll start putting them on a boat and start getting them in the process of 2 people's hands. How exactly those get broken up between which third are going where out of which orders, I don't know yet. And that would be more for my logistics people to tell me, where they would be, the most efficient way to do this would be to, and they'll tell me, and I'll just say, yes, because you're taking care of this and I don't want to. So, but it's going to happen before you know it. You're going to have one of these behemoths in your home.
That's amazing. I'm excited. Last time we talked to you, it's our quarantine present. It's a perfect present.
Bonus for surviving.
There you go. In the last video, you showed us kind of the mock-up of the box. Do you, by any chance, have any dimensions for the box as well? I know some folks have been asking about that, specifically for shipping purposes.
There is a box here. The shipper box is bigger than this one, though. But hold on.
Okay.
the inner box is roughly 25 by 25 by 26.
Okay, 25 by 25 by 26. But then there will be a shipper around that, so people need to make sure they realize that as well.
There's more room around that, exactly.
Okay, awesome. Well, man, Snake Mountain's looking incredible. I think you pretty much covered all the questions people had on it. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I'm so excited to have that thing. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to put it, but it's still going to be so much fun.
It's not going to fit on the shelf with Wolverine. I'm just saying.
Definitely not. It's probably not going to fit in this room at all, but I'll figure it out. Yeah. I will make do.
It's one of those things where it was the funniest one to me, and I'm saying this funny, not making fun of anyone who had this concern, but just that everyone kept coming back to like, okay, now that we've seen it, but like it doesn't close, and it's like, no, those are just there for aesthetic value. The hinges, and I'm just like, why would we go through this much effort and not make it close?
Well, we appreciate you showing us it closed. I know that was actually one of the questions I saw repeated, is that people wanted to see it closed. So that's very cool. I think it's awesome how that all works.
Yes.
All right. So we did talk a little bit about Masters of the Universe in the last interview. And we talked about, because I just mentioned that Snake Mountain is essentially the cherry on top, because you did confirm in our last interview that as far as action figures and stuff like that goes, Super7 is not going to be producing any more Masters of the Universe product. But we did still have several questions relating to it. I think people want that final confirmation that you're not going to be able to do anything else, and that Mattel is taking it from here with their Origins line. So did you want to speak any more to all of that?
I mean, that's exactly the summary of it is as of now, unless something changes in the future, of which no one has let me know of, is that, yeah, they're running with it. The Origins line is coming back. That's headed to retail. They're working on, 2 different media reboots. So it's fully in the camp of Mattel is taking care of this at this point. We will not be making any toy-oriented product for the foreseeable future. But, hopefully one day we'll get the chance again. But that day is not today or tomorrow right now.
Gotcha. And just so it's totally clear, so everybody realizes, that means classics, that means Filmation, that means Reaction, that means Muscle, that means the new She-Ra cartoon. That means none of that stuff, right?
None of that stuff.
Okay. Because we had several questions about it, so I just wanted to make sure we had it totally clear out there so everybody understood.
Yeah. So you're telling me there's a chance.
That's right. We're going to hang on to that little bit of hope there.
Exactly. It's okay. I'm a limo driver. I'm just going to head right out and off the gangplank.
All right. So Snake Mountain's awesome. We're going to go ahead and move past Masters of the Universe now, because there's so many other products you guys are putting out. And we actually had several questions relating to all of it. Let's go ahead and jump into Ultimates first, because there were a lot of questions relating to your Ultimates lines. And among those questions, people I think they jumped off a conversation we had on the last video where we mentioned Silverhawks. And so a lot of people want to know about, the possibility of things like Silverhawks and Tiger Sharks, and Brave Star came up a whole bunch, and Dungeons and Dragons. So all these licenses, Brian, what do you think?
I mean, obviously we're working on other licenses so that we're not just only making Thundercats. There's a bunch of stuff that's in process. I think the thing, with Ultimates, even though they're based on pre-orders, we're still working more or less a year out, even on that, just because they take a lot longer to get going. Sure. So we've got quite a few other licenses in the hopper to make some cool stuff with. And I think there's going to be some stuff in there that people are very excited about. I do also think there's a couple of things that will probably be surprising for people, but there's also some really cool stuff going to be coming out, and we're going to try to go deeper into the wider world of everything. So I can't say yes or no to any one of those specifically, but there's definitely stuff in there that we have been working on. So
there you go. That's good to hear. Yeah. And of course, most importantly, you've heard all these requests, right?
I've heard more requests. I've pretty much had everybody's request up into there were some people, it's like literally all the way up to just about my parents. Like if you can pick any obscure line or person or actor or commercial you've ever thought of, they're like, oh man, you totally got to make that. You totally got to make that, which is great. That means people care, and that means people are excited about it, and that's something that they would like, and they're projecting their likes into what we're making, hoping we're going to find a middle ground. I'm on a call. I'm sorry. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to dissuade people from offering up suggestions. I think the hardest part is that we're already pretty far ahead on what we're doing right now, and I can't confirm or deny the existence of any of the stuff that we are working on until we announce it. So it makes it really tricky, especially when people are like, oh my God, I'd love for you to make this. And you're like, oh, well, I'm already halfway through that. You just have no idea and aren't going to know for another 6 months or till next February or whatever it may be. But I do think when some of this stuff pops up, people will be like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. That's pretty cool. Or, oh my God, they're making that thing we've been talking about forever. I can't believe they're actually doing it. And it's like, yes, that's because we've been working on it forever as well.
Okay, so you were talking about with the Ultimates, the time it takes to produce them. And we've talked about before how you've already got a bunch of pre-orders out there. So one of the questions we got was asking for an update on the existing pre-orders. Can you kind of speak to just the various things that are currently on pre-order? I know like we're still waiting on like Toxie, Voltron, first wave of Thundercats, stuff like that.
Yeah, let's see. Toxie and Voltron are on boats right now. So those should be here within the month. When I say within the month, I mean from today. So they'll be here middle of next month and then start shipping out. Ren and Stimpy, I pulled up here my ship log. So when it hits on a boat, Ren and Stimpy are on a boat June 12th. Turtles Wave 1 are on a boat June 19th. And Thundercats Wave 1 is on a boat July 6th.
So they are coming.
Yeah, they're coming. So in a case like that, like the furthest one out, which is Thundercats 1, July 6th is 6 weeks from now.
Okay. So, and when you mean on a boat, that means they're coming to you. So then shipping to the customers will be after that.
I was looking at literally the boat schedule. So
Sure.
That means that it's picked up at the factory, delivered to the port, they've done the documentation on it, and then it actually gets on a boat, and the boat is on the water. So there's like, even when I'm done with something at the factory, it's another week or two to get it from the factory through all the stuff you need to at the port, load it onto a boat. And when does that boat set sail? So those dates I was reading off is that's when the boat sets sail. So when that boat sets sail, you're roughly 30 days to the Port of Oakland, and then another week to our warehouse for it to clear customs and get to the warehouse, and then we start shipping.
Gotcha. Okay. So hopefully that gives everybody kind of a indication of where we're at with everything. And you even kind of mentioned back at Toy Fair that you didn't want to keep revealing stuff too far out while you've got these open pre-orders. Is that still kind of the mindset?
Yeah, I mean, it's really tricky because obviously we plan everything into a schedule ahead of time. And if something gets delayed a month and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's like, I'm going to be, very honest. It's like, we're not going to have another Thundercats pre-order until I know that Thundercats Wave 1 is in somebody's hands.
Sure.
So I can't move on to Thundercats Wave 4 before Thundercats Wave 1 actually gets in your hand. It's just too much to ask. So in that regard, look for Thundercats in August or September.
Awesome.
Because I know we're leaving the factory. Yeah, it's really, really tricky because it's the same reason like Turtles, like the next wave of Turtles, that customer, I'm saying that customer being that there is crossover, but like for the most part, the Thundercats customer has bought Masters of the Universe from us before in many, many cases. Not all cases, but many cases. And those customers, I believe, have a fairly high degree of confidence that we are actually going to deliver the toys that we say we're going to deliver and not go out of business. Where like the Turtles collector, for the most part, there's some crossover, but they're fairly newer. They haven't bought as much stuff from us before, so they're a little bit more nervous Nelly of how many pre-orders am I going to get in with you guys before I actually see something in hand.
Sure.
So same thing, like the next Turtles wave is set to go live with the delivery of wave 1. So in my future schedule, I'm having to move things around a little bit because I want things to land. I want you to get them in your hands and be stoked and have, and be excited about the next one rather than like apprehensive about, oh, here comes another pre-order and I haven't even gotten this one yet. Which is a completely fair place to be. So yeah, I've got to get stuff into people's hands before I really go too crazy revealing a bunch of other stuff. And so every time there's, coronavirus thing, which for us was 3 months of delays in China before it ever even hit here.
Right.
And it pushes out some of these deliveries. It makes it really tricky because then it cascades into all the other stuff I'm trying to release.
Of course.
Like Conan coming in late makes it harder for me to conceivably offer up another Conan.
Of course. Yeah, I think that's something important too that a lot of people do need to keep in mind is that with COVID and everything, it's really wrecked the shipping schedules even more. So we've got extra delays and everything on top of it, all of this.
Yeah. I mean, quite honestly, even like last month, you had issues where ports just were like, we're only functioning at half speed and half capacity. So even if it was sitting on a boat, you might not be able to get it off a boat.
Oh yeah. Yeah. See, and that's the kind of thing I don't think a lot of people think about. So it's good to know all of that stuff and definitely something we should keep in mind. I mean, eventually we will get back to normal and things can pick up back to normal speed, but we are seeing extra delays because of all of these little things like that as an effect of the quarantine and everything we're dealing with.
Oh, completely. Yeah. It's all over the place. It's just an interesting thing where it's like something so minute that seems to be out of the production or out, you're talking about all the stuff you're doing with all this thing. And it's like, oh yeah, but the dispatch guy at the port got sick. And then therefore everything's delayed a week.
Oh,
you're like, wait, what? It's just, there's a lot of things that are out of your control that sort of have nothing to do with it. The funny part is that making the toys is hard. The logistics, the simple, stupid things of logistics are actually sometimes even more difficult than that. Like just simply, it's the same thing, like figuring out how to ship when one of these things shows up and it's like, 2 containers worth of ultimates across 4 characters, how you process the inventory, make sure the inventory count's correct, damages, missing, replacements. Did it happen at the port? Did it happen in transit to the port? Did it happen at the port in China? Did it happen on the water? Did it happen at the port in the US? Did it happen at the carrier? Who's responsible for that? Who's going to pay for it? All those kind of things, like how things get shipped, how they get unpacked, like just, it sounds silly, but like pick and pack processes, which is just what they talk about, how you pick things out of one box and put them in another, of just like the most effective way to do that. It seems so minor and so much into the minutia, but yet that could create a 2-week delay if you're just packing things inefficiently or unpacking things inefficiently. Like, and people are like, they'll get stuff and they're like, I got the wrong order. And it's like, yeah, we sent out 5,000 orders and like, you're going to get by proxy a certain amount of errors in that because there's human handling. That's the kind of stuff that's so frustrating because it should be, in some ways it should be the simplest, but it's actually probably the most complicated part of the whole thing is getting it to people.
Yeah.
Because there's so many points along the way. At the factory, it's a limited set of touch points. Once it leaves the factory, all bets are off.
Man, see, this is very insightful because, you know, as a consumer, as a fan, as a collector, our mindset is, oh, that looks awesome. I want that. I will give them money and they can hand that to me. And that's really the only way we think about this, right? That's just, we think it's as easy as giving you money and you handing us the toy and then the transaction's done. But it's amazing. It's really insightful to hear all the little things along the way, especially in the current world conditions, how it can affect all of that.
I mean, if we're doing it that way, if you figure, like when we ship to the warehouses, we'll ship in a number of configurations. We'll ship boxes of whole containers, which would be like, it's like, these are all Lion-Os, and these are all Panthros, and these are all Jagas. Then there'll be other boxes where it's like, okay, it's sets, one of each one inside an inner. But like, okay, you logged on, you bought a set, a complete set, plus you bought one Lion-O. All right, well, what size box am I using for you? Am I shipping that in one shipment or two shipments? Because the 4 come in a pre-packed box that I can just put a mailing label and ship. That one's coming from here. Now my counts are getting uneven between, is it coming from a pre-pack? Is it coming from a individual? Like all these things, it sounds silly, but like you have to, ahead of time, I have to pre-buy all your shipping boxes. I know how many people are ordering 1, how many people are ordering 2, how many people are ordering 3, 4, 6, 8, and shipping boxes according to size. What's the most cost-effective way to do that? Are they domestic? Are they international? Because then you get customs forms that have to be put into each one. It sounds so silly, but the logistics part is actually probably one of the more difficult parts of the whole process.
Man, you're telling me my brain hurts right now.
Yeah. So if you run out of boxes, you can't ship. If I only have big boxes, I don't want to pay, $60 to ship one figure. So,
Sure.
Then those orders wait. What if, and then it's like, I got to order boxes. Well, that takes 24 to 48 hours just to get new boxes. And then, all that, it just, I don't know. I feel like I'm digressing now and like bumming people out. Like,
yeah,
oh man.
Yeah. No, it's good though. It's good.
I want to hear about Snake Mountain and Silverhawks and Bravestar, man. I don't want to hear about your shipping problems. I got problems of my own.
Right. But it is good. I think it's important to have that information out there for anybody that's interested in it or just to know all the work that goes into something like that. So I appreciate it, man. Thanks for going into all those details.
Well, but at the same time, think about those details now in like, I've got containers leaving on the 2nd. Isn't it the 2nd? What did I just say? I have to look at my doc again. So 6/12, Ren and Stimpy leave, but 6/19, Turtles Wave 1. So Ren and Stimpy show up, and a week later, 4 Turtles show up. So
oh wow,
how are you staffing ahead of time? How are you making sure to get those out? How are you clearing out space in the warehouse for the next thing to come in? Like it gets that part is and especially when those things start to crash on top of each other can create all sorts of chaos at the warehouse.
Yeah, totally. Fun. Yeah, super fun. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and move away? Yeah, let's move away from all that stuff now.
Fan questions.
All right. All right. So now that we've got all the awesome info on the logistics, let's go ahead and jump back to some of the fan questions with the ultimate stuff. And we'll kind of go through this list here. So we kind of talked about the different licenses, obviously. But one of the things I saw a lot of questions about were Toxic Crusaders specifically. And with the Toxie coming, I think a lot of fans want to know if you have plans to continue with other Toxic Crusaders characters. Is that something you can speak to?
We would like to. There's not one that's currently like eminent or sort of on the immediate list. Toxie 1 did pretty good. And then obviously we just did the thing with EE with the glow. And I think that's one of those, it's that same thing we've seen with so many lines. It's like usually when the first ones come out, they do okay. It takes a while and people need to get them before people really get on board. And then all of a sudden they're like ready to go. I mean, I would love to, selfishly, like Major Disaster as an ultimate would look amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, quite honestly, all of them would. So I think we will try to get there. It's not going to be imminent, but it's something we've discussed and we've sort of been going back and forth. To be honest, we really wanted to see how the EE one would do as well. Like, I think, there's a group of people out there that want it, but do enough people want it to warrant the sheer volume of cost of making that figure? And it's been on the fence, but something we want to do. So I do think that there's a place for it. It's just not right away.
Okay. And yeah, that glow in the dark one was kind of like your surprise exclusive that came out. It's sold out, looks like, pretty quickly. Do you guys have plans to?
Yeah, we heard it sold out in 2 days.
Yeah.
Which was a surprise to us as well.
That's awesome. Well, do you guys think you would go into production on that one again, or do you think that was kind of a one and done deal?
We've had a conversation with Adam at EE about it. He's our main buyer over there. We're going back and forth. I don't know what the end answer will be, but that was immediately brought up on their end of like, can we make more of these? And it's like, okay, well, we might be able to. When would they actually deliver? How many more would you want? Because what you don't want to do is have them get all excited because it's sold out in 2 days. And I'm going to use fake numbers here to make it easy. Say it was 1,000 pieces and they sold out 1,000 pieces in a day, but there's only 1,010 guys that want it. And then they order another 1,000 and there's 990 they can't get rid of. Like, that's what you don't want to happen. Like, I don't want Glowtoxy on EE sale price, $12. Please buy this.
Right. Right. Gotcha.
I don't think anybody that bought the toy wants that. So we've had conversations with him about what a reorder might look like, when it might happen, how many pieces would it be, and how long would it take to get production samples in. So even if we started today, it wouldn't be ready for months.
Gotcha. Okay. But it's possible. It's something you've talked about. So that's...
yeah, I mean, it's an active discussion with no resolution. But people came on with the exact same question, which is like, same thing, like, hey man, that sold out in 2 days. Like, we need to make more of these. But it's like, okay, well, let's just make sure that if we make more, there's more people that want it, versus like, oh, it sold out, but everybody that wanted one got one.
Of course. That's always the tricky part, right? Trying to determine what's too much and what's too little on that stuff.
Yeah, well, and in this case, obviously, we were incorrect.
All right, cool. Well, it's good to know that you're discussing it. So it's a possibility. It's out there. All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit up to Adam to sort of get back to us and really let us know what he's thinking.
All right. Well, Adam, you've just been called out on this interview, so we'll be hearing from you.
And he'll probably like, he'll do the, why are you telling people about me? Everything you know about me, I just need to buy the toys.
Yeah.
Adam is amazing. And as far as somebody that knows his toys inside and out, Adam is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Well, there you go. See, now you said nice things about him too, so he can't get mad anymore. So
that's not going to be true.
All right, let's move over to Thundercats. We talked about them a little bit. You talked about them being on the boat in July. Along the same lines as that glow-in-the-dark Toxie, I've seen a lot of people ask about possible exclusives for Thundercats, and Spirit of Jaga keeps coming up. Is that something you guys have considered?
We would have to have considered it from the very beginning because it's such a thing. So yeah, we've definitely considered Spirit of Jaga. I don't know if it's an exclusive or a regular product or what, there's one of these days, a Spirit of Jaga will get made. How it gets released, I don't know. But yeah, because there's definitely some things that we need to change if we're making Spirit of Jaga. Like, he's got a different sword, and it's not it's the skinny long sword. So like there's definitely some things that we have to do to make Spirit Jaga work, but yeah, I'm totally gonna figure out how we make him one of these days. Yes.
Excellent. All right, I'm gonna
But
try
it's
to.
not as simple as just like, oh, make it in clear. I think that everybody's just like, do the one you've got in clear, and it's like, no, that's not exactly Spirit of Jaga. There's some other stuff we got to do.
Nice. Well, that's cool. Attention to detail is awesome on that. So that's very cool. All right, I'm going to try to refrain from throwing too many names out at you because I had a lot of people just throw out random Thundercats that they want to see in the line. And I know you are already planning on getting as deep as you can. I mean, you're doing Captain Cracker, for goodness sake. So.
Well, he's on everybody's top 10 list, right?
So, but what about creatures? Like some of the bigger characters, like Snow Meow, I saw was brought up a bunch. You know, similar to like what we see with Battle Cat with He-Man. Have you thought about doing bigger creatures like that?
We've thought about some bigger things. You know, in my mind, there is no reason that this line can't continue as long or longer than the Masters of the Universe line. So,
wow.
I'll be honest, when I start writing down all the things we could make, you start getting into like, oh, you know, here's the list. And it's like pages of stuff. Like, you know, are we going to make mutants? Are we going to make, you know, all sorts of stuff? Like there's, as far as bigger stuff, we're definitely working on a bigger item.
Is it the Thunder Tank? Can you tell us it's the Thunder Tank?
Is it the Thunder Tank? Is it the Thunder Tank? We talk about Thunder Tank. The Thunder Tank. How big would Thunder Tank be? Would Thunder Tank be small enough or big enough? Does it, you know, is it bigger than a bread box? Exactly. Yeah, we're working on some stuff. I mean, it's that same thing where it's like, if we start really getting deep into what's next, what are we planning? It's like, let's focus on getting these out. Let's get everybody excited about these. I'll tell you what's coming next. There's a lot of room in Thundercats, I believe. I believe also selfishly, there's a lot of things that I want to see made that I want to get to. So
sure.
The only thing I would say to those people is like, yeah, you keep throwing out the ideas and it's all fine and great, but we're working on a lot of stuff and we plan on making lots of Thundercats so that you guys have lots of Thundercats and we have lots of Thundercats and we will all have lots of Thundercats together.
Awesome. I love it. And hopefully Snarf is in there somewhere too, right?
I'm never making Snarf.
What? Poor Snarf.
He's hiding in a cave, not coming out.
All right, Ninja Turtles. Similar question.
Ninja Turtles. Similar question.
As far as big things go, would you guys consider doing large vehicles? Vehicles and play sets?
I think, you know, I have to deliver a Snake Mountain. I have to get that into people's hands.
I know. It's like the same answer. I'm sorry.
But we're almost there. Getting there. With turtles specifically, I need to start delivering a wave of turtles to those collectors, like I talked before. Like,
of course,
you know, I wouldn't even be able to consider releasing something large for that line until I would say that those people had at least one or two waves of figures in their hands. Just because I think it would be a little cart before the horse.
Sure.
So if I'm talking about planning, if I was planning out something like that, it would definitely be a little ways away. But assuming all goes well, once this thing lands and I try maybe something else big, that if that one works well, then it shouldn't also work well for other lines.
Okay, very cool.
So how do I say sort of? Sort of, yes, maybe not, kind of, maybe. Let me finish Snake Mountain first.
There you go. All right. It's a little too soon, but that hope is there, right?
It's a little too soon because, quite honestly, like, same thing. People are like, are you going to make Thunder Tank? Are you going to make Thunder Tank? Are you going to make Thunder Tank? It's like, let me get you Snake Mountain, and then maybe I can talk about a Thunder Tank.
Sure.
And anybody that wants a Technodrome or a Turtle Van, it's like, I haven't even gotten anything like a Thunder Tank yet. So I need to figure out something like that before I figure out something like this.
Okay.
So
that's perfect.
Otherwise, you're paying for a whole lot of pre-orders that are very expensive that are a long ways away without having anything in your hand. And I think that that's a bit egregious.
Sure. All right. So as far as the character selection goes with Turtles, are you guys limiting yourselves just to the old toy designs, or would something like the Archie comics characters be on the table? I think specifically some of the characters that only appeared in the Archie comics that have never had toys.
No, we're not limited to just the toys. Obviously, that's where we're taking our inspiration from. So we have an Archie license. We have a King Features thing. So there is no reason that we can't get to some of those characters completely. They're not, they're not in the next wave by any stretch of the imagination. But same thing. There's as much as stuff has been made of Turtles over the years, there's still a decent amount of stuff that hasn't been touched. There's places to go, and we're hoping to do a bunch of that stuff.
Awesome. So not in the next wave, because Muckman's in the next wave, right?
Oh yeah, completely.
Awesome. Well, no, that's really exciting. It's cool to know that there, like you said, there's things that have never been done with Turtles, and Archie Comics is one of those things that's totally untouched, I think, as far as toys go. So that could be really interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, as long as people keep buying them, I'm going to make as many as I can because I like making them. That's why I'm into this job to make toys. So.
I guess that's a good reason to be in a job in a toy company.
Yeah. You'd be surprised some days, though. You'd be surprised.
All right. How about we talk Transformers now? So you guys have revealed the Transformers reaction figures, of course. So with that license to do like these G1 style Transformers, do you have the option to do like ultimate scale Transformers that are non-transforming, just action figures, kind of like Voltron?
I can neither confirm nor deny that rumor.
Interesting.
But sure would make a whole lot of sense. They'd look really cool.
Yeah, I think they would. I think they would.
So
okay. All right. That's a good answer. We'll just move on from that one then. In the reaction line.
February. Toy Fair's in February, isn't it?
I hope.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Touche, Dan. Touche.
All right. In the reaction line, do you guys think you'll do some of the human characters for Transformers, or are you only going to do the robots?
Right now, we're pretty hung up on the robots. I think we will look at some of those. It's just sort of tricky. You get into this weird scale issue with so many of the robots. Already, like we're keeping them all 3 3/4. We're making the sculpts and looks very, very G1 accurate. They look great, but because of the form factor, they're all kind of the same size. There's a few that are smaller and bigger, but it's like, you get into that where some of these should be dramatically smaller and dramatically bigger if they were in real proportion, but 3 3/4 really isn't a true proportion thing. So, we may eventually get to that, but it's like, part of me is like, oh man, if you had that human character, like if they were standing next to Optimus Prime, they would still be as tall as Optimus Prime. It would feel really weird.
Yeah, totally.
Once again, there's places to go. There's things to do. We've got some really fun Transformers coming out. And I think the thing with the Transformers 3 3/4, so I'm not sure when this will go up, but we're filming this on a Monday, the 18th. The Wednesday, the 20th, right now, is when Wave 2 Part B goes online for Transformers, including Astro Train. And the interesting thing about it, if it follows what happened with Masters of the Universe and a lot of other lines, like when we first came out with those figures, there was a fair amount of people that were like, these are really cool. They look like G1. I like them. There was a decent amount of people that are like, oh my God, these are like the Action Masters. I love these. And there were a whole lot of people who are like, these don't transform. They're not transform.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not interested. They don't transform. This sucks. Like, that's the whole point. And as we get further and further down the line and we make more and more characters, I'm making the parallel to Motu, because like when we did the Motu figures, if you grew up on Star Wars and graduated, you know, and then also watched Motu, you're like, oh, 3 3/4 Motu, I'll take it all day. But if you started in Motu and went to Turtles or other things like that, you were like, these figures kind of suck. Like, they're small and they're not that cool. But as the line progressed and more characters, and it became much more of the, like, you get this really deep world, that's when you saw so many people going, you know, I didn't get it at first, but now that I see them all together, I get it. I'm into it. And we're already seeing that with the Transformer collector, which is like for example, my friend Josh Izzo posted some stuff over the weekend where he was just like I love these things, but then they made Astro Train. And like Astro Train's the one that's pushing him over the edge to like, okay, now I have to have these. These are so cool. They look so good together. And that's, we found that across the board, is that the further we get into the line and the more characters we make, then all of a sudden people really come on board. Is now it's something I can collect. Now it's something I can get into. Going backwards to your initial question, you know, we've got quite a lot of Transformers in the works. There's not really any of the human people right now, but that doesn't mean that we won't get there.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
I mean, I made a Leo Skeletor, so.
Yeah, you totally did. So you never know.
How many people knew that reference?
Me and you and a couple others probably.
Let me back up. There was enough. You can get away with a Leo Skeletor, but then we made a Leo Beastman. Yeah, that's a whole nother level. Yeah. Where it's like, okay, there are 3 people that care.
I'm one of them. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Too, so. Let's keep talking reaction then while we're on this, because we had several questions relating to various reaction toy lines. So how about Planet of the Apes? You had mentioned previously that the license needed to be renegotiated since it was with Disney now. Can you give us any update on that?
It is still in renegotiations.
Okay.
We're still talking to them pretty much about all the Fox stuff we were doing or planning on doing or whatever. So there is definitely, we'll get back to it. Just we're still working on it. We don't have the contract back yet, but it's almost there. Okay,
perfect. Somebody asked, with the reveal of Michael Knight in reaction, does this mean we're going to get a reaction kit?
That would be huge. No, maybe one day we will get to being able to make vehicles and things like that for reaction. It's hard, you know, and they're expensive. So no kit at this time.
Okay. No kit at this time. All right.
No kit for the foreseeable future.
There we go. Never say never.
It doesn't mean it's never say never, but we got a ways to go. And if I get to the point of making vehicles for reaction, kit will probably not be the first one on the line.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So you got other ones that you're already thinking
about. You're reading too much into it now.
Yeah, I know. That's what we do. That's what we do.
Let me back up. No vehicles right now.
No vehicles.
I'll just say no.
There we go.
No vehicles for reaction.
No vehicles. Okay. The worst. Do you have a status update on the worst? You got more of those coming out?
Yeah, Wave 3 is being worked on right now. It probably, I don't think it's going to make it out this year.
Okay.
It'll probably be early next year, but Wave 3 is in process.
And that is your in-house designed, like all original line, right?
Yeah. I think we talked about it last time, did we?
We talked about it a little bit. We've talked about it at several toy fairs too, but we had some questions on it.
Oh, okay.
Some of those.
I'm glad you have some questions on it. Makes me feel good inside.
Yeah. Were some of those characters your designs specifically?
For the first 2 waves, they're either me or Josh.
Okay.
We designed all of them. So,
very cool.
There's some more variety in Wave 3, but for Wave 1, let's see here, because there's a bunch of them hiding. I don't know if you can see it down here or not, but there's a lot of worst down there. So let me see here. So wave 1. Oh, that's okay. Black Falcon's me. X2 is me. Snake Tut is Josh. Gas Phantom is Josh. Wave 1. I'm missing a couple down here. Let me get card backs. This is gonna be much easier.
Okay, sure.
Wave 1. Josh did Snake Tut, Gas Phantom, and Robot Reaper, and I did Black Falcon, Bacula, and X2.
Awesome.
And then in wave 2, I'm not even on screen anymore here. On wave 2, Josh did Captain Dead Star, Cortex Commander, and Werewolf Biker. I did Red Tiger and Franken Ghost, and my daughter did Shadusa.
Very cool.
So
That's
with
awesome.
Medusa, I wanted to make a Medusa type character. I was trying to figure it out, and I was really struggling with trying to find something original that hadn't been made in that world, or just something in the character design that was different. And I just couldn't get to it. And so one night my oldest daughter, and I just, the one that's on the alien box. And I said, okay, hey, here's the idea. Why don't you go try to draw a character? And I'm not exaggerating when I was like, she was gone maybe 5 minutes, and she came back with 3 pieces of paper. She's like, okay, here it is. And then so her dress comes down and turns into a snake tail, or comes back up and she can walk around. And then what she does when she pulls out her bow and arrow, instead of arrows, she shoots snakes at you. And I was like,
yeah,
done.
That's amazing. That is so amazing.
We're done. Yep. And so now, but it's made my life very difficult now, because now both of her sisters are like, where's my toy?
So you got to give them a
toy. I gave you a drawing. I gave you a drawing, and you're like, yes, you gave me a drawing. We're not at that. We haven't gotten that one made yet. And then conversely, my oldest is also now like, cool, I got a bunch more ideas. Let's get this party started. And I'm like, mine aren't even getting out right now. So
yeah, look what you've done. You created a toy designer. That's awesome.
This is all, if you ask her, all of this is just a leapfrog to getting her own cartoon made. That's all she wants to do. The sheer volume of scripts and animations she draws, like, she'll write scripts, but at the same time she'll have an idea for an episode. Like, this is the one where they do this. She'll draw the thing out. She'll write episode 1, whatever it is. And then she'll write the title on it, because that's all she needs to remember it. And she does 13 episodes a season. And I think she's on season 11 or 12. She keeps them in 3-ring binders.
Wow.
And it's just like, she's just 100%. And she's very, very concerned that somebody like Disney is going to somehow get her scripts and turn them into horrible romance, no strong female lead cartoons.
Oh no, we can't have that. That's amazing, though. That is so cool that she's so creative like that. That's awesome.
It's terrifying and amazing all at the same time.
I bet.
I can't get her out of her room to say. It's like, now I feel like have I turned into my parents? I'm like, you need to quit drawing and go outside for an hour.
Yeah.
I'm like, all I wanted to do was draw. Now I'm telling my kid to stop drawing and go outside.
Dude, we've all hit that point. I do that every time I have to tell my son to clean up his toys or tell him that he's got too many toys. I go, oh my God, what am I saying? What is wrong with
God, you're such an awful dad.
I know.
How did you do that?
All right.
That's the other funny part is my kids, for the most part, don't really, it's like, oh, I'm like, you should save that. You should put that away. And they're like, yeah, I don't care.
I know, I'm the same way. Every time we're like going through and we're going through his stuff, trying to decide what he still needs and what he doesn't, I'm always kind of like, I think maybe we should save this or we should pack this. I'm the one that does that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like they don't have the, and I'm not saying this negatively, but there hasn't been any real physical objects like that they have grasped onto the same way. Aside from those little tiny rainbow tie plushes with the big glittery eyes.
Oh yeah.
And those they're like, we're gonna put that over here.
So, all right, I guess we should probably get back on track. We got a couple more questions here, so let's do it.
All right, I'm here.
Okay. All right. Okay, so hey, on the reaction figures, what goes into choosing which bands or musical artists you guys work on for reaction? And are there any that have been big enough sellers you'd consider doing ultimates for?
So first part of the question, quite honestly, the music thing almost started by accident. So long story short, the first music figure that we made was King Diamond. And for those of you that know or don't know, he's a very, in terms of mainstream, not metal world, he's very obscure, but he's one of the godfathers of black metal. And ironically, a guy that I knew growing up is now he's an entertainment lawyer, and we were just shooting the breeze, and he was like, oh yeah, we're talking about a bunch of the other stuff he's doing, because he does a lot of punk bands for free, just to sort of help him out, older punk bands. And then we're talking, and he said something about King Diamond, and I was like, wait, are you doing King Diamond too? And he's like, oh yeah, I do King Diamond. He's like, you guys should totally make a figure. And I was like, we should. That would be so fucked up. Can we do that? And he's like, here, I'll ask King. And like a week later, it was like me talking to King on the phone from his house. He's like, he grew up in Europe. He's a little bit older. He was like, I don't really understand what this is, but I trust you, and I trust the lawyer. And he's like, all right, let's just give it a shot. And then we made it, and it sold really well.
That's awesome.
Partly because it's like, holy, you made King Diamond.
Yeah.
But partly because I think that that stuff doesn't get made. So from there, we literally went into bands and people we knew and had direct access to, between myself and Brian Liu, who also works here, and a bunch of other people that know a lot of these people grew up. Like Brian Liu grew up with Metallica and Slayer and everybody.
Yeah.
So
wow.
When I'm going to say that, meaning that, like, if you go read the liner notes, they're by Brian Liu or whatever. And he was also in rock merchandising for a long time, so knew a lot of people there. Old punk rock people are friends, Gorilla Biscuits, friends of mine. We're working on some other punk bands right now that are friends of mine, like Agnostic Front. Like, when it came to that, I just reached out to Roger. Like, we didn't know each other personally, but he had been buying the Misfits figures from us.
Oh, cool.
And we have mutual friends. So I was just like, hey, Roger, would you ever be interested in this? He's like, sure, let's do it. So it started off very much, I hate to say like a lark, because that makes it dismisses it to a degree. But we were just trying the same thing as everything else, have some fun and make some stuff with people we knew and things that we liked. And then once it started going, we realized that there was a much bigger audience there. And so we're actively working within the music space now. As to who gets picked, I mean, a lot of it really comes down to who's in the office and what are they interested in and what do they have a passion for.
Sure.
So, there's been some things that we've definitely turned down because I was just like, I don't want to make that. And there's definitely some stuff, but there's definitely people in the office that have different musical tastes than I do as well. So that'll be interesting as we really get into what would essentially be early next year. There's going to be a couple other bands that come out that I would say that people that have bought stuff from the bands that we've been making are going to be like, why did you make that? And it's like, well, that figure's not for me. it's for this person that works here.
Oh,
And
okay.
this person that works here really wants that figure. So it's not always about what I want, it's what we want as a staff. And I don't think it's going to be one of those things where people are going to be like, oh my God, they made Kenny Rogers. It's not that. It's, it's just like, oh, what's, that's a different genre almost. And it's like, yeah, that's a different genre, but it's important to this person. And so
Gotcha.
they're making the toys they want.
Gotcha. So you think you'd ever do ultimates of any of the bands?
Yes, I do. I think we will make ultimates. I think we've got 2 music ultimates in the works.
All right. Wow.
And if anybody did any homework for more than 5 minutes, it probably wouldn't be hard to deduce who they're going to be.
Very cool.
So, I think, let me look here. I can probably tell you when we'll announce the first one. Let's see here. Hold on. I'm looking at my screen and no one else can tell what I'm looking at.
That's right. I can't see what you're seeing.
We'll announce the first one in July.
That's coming up quick.
Yeah. So we're going to do a music ultimate in July. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. And that's the whole point, is it's going to be fun.
Of course. Awesome. Very cool. All right. Last reaction question I have. There's been a lot of people who have really loved the card back artwork, and I've seen several people asking for a collected art book of the various artwork seen on those card backs. Is that something you guys have considered?
I think I brought it up a little bit last time. There's been quite a few requests for that. I think right now we're trying to put our ideas around what would a 20-year book look like. So in 21, that will be 20 years of Super 7.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
What might that book look like? The reality is, as sad as it sounds, is that we're so busy, there's no way we can do it. So we've been talking to a friend of mine that has published quite a few art of and history of books that have been beautiful. And we're sort of talking to him about what it would take for him to maybe try to put together a book.
Awesome.
So one of the things in there would be a section on just artwork without packaging on it. Just here's the paintings and the source art and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds awesome. That would be very cool to see.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think, that next year it will be 20 years, because it seems like it's been forever in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, it's only been really like 5 really crazy years. So
that's awesome. Well, that's great. 20 years is amazing. So congratulations to you guys. That's great.
Yeah. It took us 20 years to be an overnight success.
I like, hey, that's fine. That's fine. You're here, right?
I'm trying.
All right. We got a couple just kind of random questions to end things off today. So the Universal Monsters Soakies that you guys have shown off, I think they're on the shelf. Yeah, I saw them on the shelf behind you there. Are those getting a release at some point soon?
They will be getting a release. A lot of our Halloween plans got thrown out the window due to this virus. Yeah. I don't know if you heard about it. There's this virus going around.
Oh, no.
Kind of messed things up a little bit. So a lot of our plans have been changed and rearranged. I can't speak to exactly when they're coming out at this point anymore, but they are coming out.
Awesome.
But some of our bigger soiree party event ideas have been tossed out the window.
Okay. But it's good to know that they're still coming at some point.
Yeah. I mean, they're done. Those are plastic.
They look awesome.
They're not resin. These aren't protos. Those are fully painted production sample ready to go. It's just ready to go where and when.
Gotcha. Okay, how about Keshi? Do you guys have plans to do any more Keshi?
We're gonna do some more Keshi. It's not going to move quite as quickly as some of the other stuff, but there is some other Keshi that's in the works.
Okay, awesome. And then in the last interview, you did mention that you were looking at the idea of possibly doing some new 5.5-inch retro style figures. And so we had some questions asking if you could give any hypotheticals or any hints or teasers as to what you might be looking at.
No.
Okay. Perfect answer. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's we're looking at it. We're working on it. I want to make sure that it isn't halfway of what it should be.
Sure.
It should be dialed. Like I want it to be when it comes out that you're like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted.
Cool.
Maybe you won't. I don't know. I guess it's my version of this is what I think that I would have wanted. I feel really good about what we're toying around with, what we're working with. We've got a date on the calendar that we believe that we want to do it in. I'm not confident that we're going to hit that date, just to be fairly transparent, just because we're not quite as far along as we should be to make that date happen. But I believe that there is some very exciting things that can be done in 5.5-inch scale.
Awesome. Well, that's cool. That's all I need. So
I guess that's far more confirmation than last time, which is like, oh,
yeah. I was gonna say that. You know what? I'm good with that, and I'm excited to see what happens. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah. But it's the same thing. It's like, I don't want to take the bread out of the oven too early here.
Sure, of course.
All
right. Well, before we end things off, I wanted to ask kind of one more question relating to, with everything going on, we're obviously not going to have San Diego Comic-Con. It's possible we won't have New York Comic-Con in October. So how are you guys going to handle? Yeah, I don't think so either. So how do you guys plan to handle things as far as like what you would normally do for your exclusives and stuff like that? Do you have a backup plan for all of that?
That we're in the midst of developing it right now.
Okay.
Literally, I saw one of the many email notifications scrolling up the side of the screen was something about one of the. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to do something during the term of when San Diego would be, but it's going to be a virtual event. There's just no way around that.
Sure.
And I think that most everybody's going to be doing something similar. So we're just trying to figure out what the best way to do that is. What's the way that we can do that that's fun, that's engaging, that's going to get people excited. And it's not just like, here's some order it,
Yeah.
The reality is most of those questions are around like, I know there's some cool shit coming. I'd like to order it. Yeah. But yeah, there is, but it's like, what else can it be? We're losing that human interaction of San Diego.
Yeah.
We're losing a bit of the anticipation and excitement of San Diego and the unknown going into it. So what can we do to make it still feel special? I guess is the question that we're going back and forth with, rather than it's just simply a time to release some exclusive figures.
Right.
Is there something more we can do here? And that's what we're going back and forth with. So, yeah, I mean, we're working on something for San Diego. It's not 100% baked. I mean, San Diego technically is only 2 months away from now.
Right.
But in the digital world, that's still plenty of time to get things done.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, we have some really, really unexpected and exciting things planned for San Diego. And when and how we reveal those things is changing. So some of it will still be happening in July, and some of it we're going to push off.
Okay.
And find another time for.
Well, and of course, I'd love to get on here with you and we can do our usual walkthrough of the new stuff. We'll just have to do it virtually like this, but we can totally still do something like that.
Do I have to hold the microphone and go back and forth like this?
Yeah, you have to. It's very important. Otherwise, it won't feel the same.
It's not. I feel like even here, I've been a little too dry. I've just been like, yeah, I don't know, we got some stuff. I mean, yeah, it's a Black Falcon. I don't know, you know.
Well, we're 3 months.
The reality is, most people turned off about 10 minutes into this. Once I was done talking.
Once you were done with Snake Mountain.
Well, I don't need any more of this crap.
That's all I needed. Well, I hope you guys stuck around because you gave a lot of great information. And of course, we always appreciate you taking the time to kind of open up and talk about all this stuff with us, man.
You know, obviously, I like to say there aren't really any secrets here. There obviously are, because then people are like, well, then why can't you tell me what license you're working on?
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you because other people will steal it. You know, there's, you know, it's the same thing. Like, as we learned all this stuff, we're like, oh, that's how it works. That's how it works. Oh, okay. And I think a lot of times when you tell people what you're actually doing, then they go, oh, well, now it makes sense, rather than like, why is this a week late? It's like, because there's a million other factors involved than simply shooting plastic into a mold. But yeah, I try to be as available as I can within reason. I also want to say, just as a nerd, that it took me this long to notice your Crystar over on the quarter.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your other side, Dan.
I'm trying to remember where everything's at over here. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, Crystar. There he is. Yeah.
There you go. And I appreciate your dedication to obscurity, because that line is such a cool, beautiful line.
It's so cool. I have the dragons too and everything for it. I love it. Yeah.
The contrast between that clear blue Crystar and that dark red, bumpy magma Moltar was just like, this is so cool.
So Crystar and Ultimates, right? No.
No.
I just wanted to join in on the throwing out licenses thing.
Yeah, I don't. Woo. God, no. Yeah. No, but it's the same thing where it's just like, you know, those are the things. It's like all those weird little pieces and bits and bops. And it's like, what can you take from that and mix with other things you're doing to make something new and cool? So,
yeah, of course.
And in here, like over the time, like we commented last time, I can see all this Haunted Mansion stuff. We can talk about Wolverine. We talked about Thrashor and all that other stuff. But, you know, Crystar, now we're getting into the wood. We're down into the deep part of the woods here.
I love the weird stuff. I love that. That's like my favorite kind of stuff to collect. I got like a Rom the Space Knight sitting over here too.
What I feel more awful about really is that I can look at it from here and tell you that it's not only that it's missing the helmet, the sword, and the shield.
Yeah. That's an extra one. I have a complete one too.
Because I'm just like, oh, that's rad. Oh man, it's missing the helmet.
It's missing the helmet with the cool wings, and
you know, because that, you know, just puts it over the edge. It's that little sprig of green at the edge of the plate that just sort of, you know, sets that off right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right, man. Well, hey, guys, thank you all so much for submitting your questions. I hope I covered the majority of them. I apologize if I didn't get everything, but I'm sure we'll have another opportunity to do this again, right, Brian? Maybe we can do it again soon.
Anytime you want, Dan, within reason.
Within reason.
Calling me at 2 a.m. What you doing? You up?
Yeah. Hey, you want to record right now?
Hold on. Yeah. And it's great. Obviously, you know, we get along great. I'm glad to get the word out as best I can, and you know, answering people's questions is far easier in this format than like some of the others. But you know, like I said, within reason, there aren't a whole lot of secrets. So whatever I can answer, I'll answer.
And that's awesome. And we totally appreciate it. And I appreciate you taking the time again to talk with me again. It's been really cool getting a chance to like have these conversations while we've been quarantined like this. So it's been awesome.
Oh, well, you got to hang out with Todd McFarlane for like what, an hour?
Almost 2 hours I hung out with him.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
It was awesome.
I ain't gonna lie, that's not pretty darn cool.
It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So there you go. They're just like, oh, you know, my boy Todd. Hey, Todd.
That's right. Yeah, we're BFFs now. You didn't know?
Yeah. Sending me pages. It's no big deal. It's cool.
Awesome.
All right. Take care, Dan.
All right. You
congratulations again on the baby.
Hey, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Say hello to the hardest working wife in toy business. And
yes.
We'll all chat soon.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Brian. And thank you guys all so very much for watching. We'll see you next time.